Welcome back. It's Amber here again, and it's been a while since I've shared anything here on YouTube that wasn't specifically for you. And what I want to dive in today is yoga as exercise or yoga as a way in which you live your life. If you're doing yoga just for exercise, then you're simply not doing yoga, you're exercising. Yoga is a way in which we interact with the world and the way in which we interact with ourselves. Yoga is relationship, the uniting, the yoking, the coming together into the one. Yoga as a way in which you live your life is becoming aware of everything that you think, everything that you say, and everything that you do is in alignment with your heart, with your values. And this is the relationship that we bring our awareness to. So if you're someone that's like, I want to have more connection to myself, I want to have more connection to my passion, to my purpose, then you're going to want to listen to this way in which I guide my students into living their lives, living your life. Because when we become aware of what we think, what we say, and what we do, then we are in control of our life. Not only that, we are creating our life consciously because we're putting our attention onto what we think. In yoga, there's this way of my relationship to the external world, to the floor, to nature. Here I am in beautiful Costa Rica. How do I connect to the nature? How do I connect to the sun, to the ocean, to the waterfalls, to the jungle? To my family, to my friends, to my community. It all begins with the relationship I have with myself. Are you taking time on the daily to love yourself, to practice self-care, to slow down in this busy world of doing? Are you stopping to simply just observe how you feel from within your own heart, your heart space? In yoga, there's two ways, the yamas and the niyamas. This is coming from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the relationship that we have with the external world outside of ourselves is the yamas. The relationship that we have with the inner world is the niyamas. This is what begins our relationship to becoming aware to ourselves and to others. What we learn on the yoga mat gives us the ability to practice yoga off the mat. What we learn from doing the physical asanas, the postures, what we know so commonly today in the Western world of yoga, moving the body, going to an hour-long yoga practice or online, now that we're in the midst of COVID, we build strength, flexibility, and balance. How can we bring the strength that we build from holding postures, the endurance that we create from being in postures for longer? Hold just a couple more breaths, you got this, and you're gonna die. You're like, hey teacher, I'm going to die. And what do you learn from that? It gives us the ability to be strong in our lives off the mat when it's time to set a boundary, to tell someone no who's been taking advantage of you. It gives us the ability to build our confidence because what we were capable of doing yesterday is going to be so different than what we're capable of doing next week, next month, next year. And when we're able to turn the physical postures into possible, because they were once impossible, it gives us the ability to believe in ourselves of turning the impossible off the mat into possible. So setting strong boundaries and boosting up your confidence. Who doesn't want more of that? Then we dive into flexibility. So what happens when we become more open in the tendons, the ligaments, and the joints? How can we become more flexible when we get off the mat? When life happens, things don't go the way we planned. How can we become mentally flexible to adapt and flow with the natural changes and the rhythms of our life? This is how we can live the yoga practice off the mat. When you lose a job, when someone you love leaves, when the day goes every way in which you did not plan, how can you become more mentally flexible, embracing your physical practice in your life off the mat? And then we dive into balance, balancing the left side with the right side of the body. We typically have one side that's a little bit easier to balance than the other. What does that balance bring us in our lives off the mat? when we can balance with our eyes opened or eyes closed? How can we find more balance between doing and being? Are you a workaholic? Are you lazy? How can you find the balance between doing and being? Are you someone that's constantly giving, 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 but you never actually take time for yourselves? How can you find the balance between receiving and giving, doing and being? These are some of the practices that we can cultivate from what I like to call vitality calibration. Moving your physical body, moving stuck or stored energy so that you feel more awake, so that you feel more alive, and you're able to cultivate strength, flexibility, and balance on and off the mat. And then when we dive into meditation, breathing exercises, journaling, and sitting and being with ourselves, how can we take that practice and incorporate it to our life off the mat? When we're sitting and meditating, bringing our awareness to one point, building our concentration, how can we stay more concentrated when we're doing things at home? Getting one task done at a time, boosting our productivity and our ability to get things done. And then at the same time, in the same way, that focus with breathing exercises, holding the breath in or holding the breath out, really working at breathing in and breathing out and controlling the breath, we bring focus and awareness to something. And that focus and awareness allows us in our life off the mat to set goals and achieve those goals. So we become more concentrated, more dialed in, more honed in on what it is that we want so that we can achieve, put our time, our energy, and our resources into making sure that happens through taking action. And not only when we're breathing and when we're meditating and we're sitting, watching the thoughts run around and training our awareness to come back in, then can we find a sense of inner peace, of deep connection, and what that brings. So we can have more concentration, more focus, more inner peace in our life on and off the mat. You see, yoga is so much more than an exercise. It's all the things that we learn along the way. I'm curious for you, where is it that you want to bring your awareness and your focus? Is it deepening the relationship to yourself? Do you have a lot of self-care, a lot of self-love, practices that you do on a daily basis to be with yourself so that you can show up into the world and be with the world? You see, yoga is so much more than exercise. And I'm excited to take you on this journey to live your yoga practice here on the mat through breathing exercises, meditation, and moving through the yoga asana, the postures, but as well as incorporating them into your life off the mat so that you can be a better human, a better mom, a better wife, a better teacher, a better person. Because you're focusing on building the longest relationship, the most intimate relationship that you will ever have, the relationship that you have with yourself.